You're live. We are
Awesome.
live, yeah. So I am Val Money, owner and editor of the Huckleberry Press newspaper. And we are at Mad Collab Studios on Trent in Spokane. And we're right in the middle of the Spokane Small Business and Entrepreneurs Group. And it's an exciting afternoon. Yay! And I should mention we have a live studio audience, and I love saying live studio audience. And we're here with Gabe Tesch, who is a Spokane-based race driver. So welcome, Gabe.
Yeah, thank you.
See why the audience makes all the difference.
I know, it makes it way better. Yeah, it's awesome.
So, Gabe, I imagine you're getting used to getting interviewed a lot.
Oh man, yeah, it's ever since I started this whole racing thing with interviews and stuff, it's been crazy, but I'm still never used to it. I don't think it's something I ever will get used to. It's definitely not my favorite part of the job.
Well, you're doing a great job. So let's get into your backstory. How did you get started on race car driving? And what was the experience you had when you were a young child that led you to race car driving?
So, racing was kind of born in my blood. My dad raced cars when I was a baby, and literally my first word was Porsche. So there you there you go. But so I've always loved racing, and I started getting go-karts. But then when I was 11, I was diagnosed with brain cancer, which put a stop to my whole dream. And so I had to do all my treatment. I did 48 days of radiation in Seattle, and then 48 weeks of chemo after that. And so that just put a whole stop to my whole life. But once I got all done with that, I decided I want to be a race car driver. I was like, okay, I still love racing. I want to do this, and I'm not going to let this whole cancer thing hold me back from chasing my dream. So right after that, we got into go-karts again, started moving up the ladder, winning races, winning championships, and then going to bigger races and winning those races. And after that, last year, I signed with a car team over in Europe and flew over there and raced Formula Fords in Europe. And so just ever since cancer, it's just been crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
We all have assumptions about what it's like to go through a cancer experience. I can make up stories about it, but what was it like for you?
Definitely scary. It was hard because I was so young. At first, I didn't really have a clue what was going on. It's like it was just a big, scary word, and there's so much involved around it that I just, like I said, I was young, so I didn't really understand it. But the hardest part for me of going through cancer was just, 11-year-old, being an 11-year-old, I want to go play outside and be with my friends, and my life was kind of stopped, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see my friends, and all my friends were kind of moving on, and I couldn't play sports or anything, so my life was just completely stopped. And, you know, just kind of having like that solitude was really hard.
I bet. And then I forgot, was it the Wishing Star Foundation?
Yeah,
So can you talk about what happened with the Wishing Star Foundation and what that opened up for you?
yeah, so Wish and Star, they grant wishes for kids that have cancer after they finish all their treatment. They literally pay for a whole trip to go wherever you want and do whatever you want for your whole family. And so my wish was to go to the F1 Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. So they paid for that whole trip. Me and my whole family went, my two older sisters, and then my mom and dad. And that was just the coolest experience ever. I got to meet all the drivers, be in the pits, see the cars, and that was like the moment where I was like, this is what I want to do for sure. Like, this is the coolest job ever. So on the flight home, my parents like, okay, so cancer's over and everything. We can get back to normal life. So what do you want to do now? And I was like, I want to be a race car driver. And they kind of laughed at me at first because they just thought it was silly. And I was like, no, God didn't get me for cancer to do something ordinary with my life. He got me for cancer to do something extraordinary. And so then they're like, oh crap, we got to do this. And so ever since then, we've been just chasing my dream.
Wow. When was your first race?
So my first race I was 14 at the time, and it was my first go-kart race here actually in Spokane because my first year I just stuck with the club level stuff. And it went horrible. I got like dead last, like I got lapped. And then my second race, I crashed. So my first 2 races in go-karts were just awful. And then after that, something clicked, and I won 8 races in a row and won the championship my rookie year. And
Wow.
so ever since then, we've just been moving up.
And now you're racing in Europe?
So last year I raced in Europe in Formula Fords. I signed with a team in the UK, lived there for 9 months, and yeah, raced all around the UK and everything. And then this year I'm racing F4 here in the country.
Well, you're in Spokane. How did you get hooked up with race cars in Europe?
So this guy named Jay Ivy, that's kind of my racer mentor. He kind of tells me, okay, where I should go next, helps me find sponsors and stuff. And he told me, like, if you want to progress up the ladder, you need to go race in Europe, because over there it's like a religion. And so we found a team to sign with, and we contacted them, and we raised the sponsorship money to do the season. And then they sent me a contract, and I signed with them, and then I got my living situation all settled and moved over there and lived there the whole 9 months. And then I just traveled with the team to each track. We were like racing every weekend, so we were constantly on the road.
You're totally living the dream.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
And what races do you have coming up?
So next week I'm racing at Road Atlanta, and in the F4 car, which will be my first race in F4, which is kind of the next step from Formula Ford, which what I did last year.
The Spokane Small Business and Entrepreneurs Group has taken you under their wing, I would say, and my Facebook feed is constantly filled with "Go see Gabe Tesch at the world premiere of his movie."
Yeah.
So, can you talk about your movie, the name of it, how that came about, and just tell us the story?
Yeah, so pretty much from the beginning, my dad got this crazy idea that my life needed to be in a movie or something, because it's just been crazy. And so we contacted some film companies, and we made this little scissor reel with this local camera guy that made that followed me around and made some cool videos and stuff. And we sent those to them, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we love this story." And there was 4 that came back to us, but we narrowed it down to 1, which is Pindare Films, which is the people that are making my film now. And ever since then, we've just been making the film. And now here in Spokane, we're having the official premiere of the film called Do Something Extraordinary at the First Interstate Center on April 13th.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's super exciting. And it's going to be ultimately on Amazon?
Yeah, so after the whole premiere, will be on Amazon, and then we have a screening with Netflix, so we're in talks with them. So it's all super awesome.
uh, who here is going to go see his movie at the premiere? Yeah, all the hands.
Yeah.
All the hands of our live studio audience went up. It's exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
And the posters are right behind you. Do something extraordinary. And I completely understand the context how this showed up, but I'm just curious to hear how you would say it. Why do something extraordinary?
Kind of my message in that I want to inspire people is, especially kids that are going through cancer right now. After you finish cancer, you feel just kind of depressed and stuck, because when you're going through cancer, you have all this support around you, right? And you kind of have a main target. But then once that you finish cancer, that support kind of goes away, and everyone thinks you're fine, and then you have nothing to really like work for. And so I'm trying to inspire kids. Once you finish cancer, don't let that hold you back. Don't let that fear hold you back, and go chase something that you love. And not even just kids with cancer, anyone. There's a lot of people that where fear holds them back, because they have a lot of fear of failure or whatever it is. And I just want to take people out of that fear so they can go do something they love, either it's just learning how to knit, or being a firefighter, or racing cars.
You're making me a little misty. What questions do you guys have for Gabe about his experience on any level?
I'm just completely blown away by you. First of all, I mean, you being the age you are, and just to come up with the confidence and just be able to tell your story is absolutely incredible. But because you are still young, how do you manage school and all of this? Or are you in school, or are you just focusing on just racing right now?
Let me repeat the question for the microphone. So how are you handling all this extra activity with school, and are you in school, and how does that work for you?
Yeah, so I'm not in school anymore. I've been graduated for a couple years now. I'm gonna actually be 20 in April, and so this is my full-time job. Um, Racing is literally my whole life. So when I'm not at the track, it's just about finding sponsors and people that want to partner with me. Just working on my social media and stuff, and yeah, it's definitely hard because, I see my friends that are going to college and like me compared to my friends, it's a whole different path that we're going. And with the documentary, I always have cameras always following me around. So it's a really weird life for a 19-year-old, but I mean, I love it. I love racing, so I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, I get used to the cameras.
Yeah, yeah, I'm still not.
So, how many hours do you spend at the track during each week?
How many hours? Every time you ask a question, I'm going to repeat it for the mic.
Okay.
How many hours do you spend at the track during a week?
So if it's a race week, it's about 3 days. So mostly we leave Thursday to go to the track, and then Fridays practice, and then Saturdays we have a little bit of practice, and then qualifying in a race, and then Sunday is just a race. And so you're at the track all day. Like you arrive at the track at like 7 in the morning, and then you don't leave till like 6. And depending on the races, you have sprint races, which are about 30 to 40 minutes long, and then you have endurance races where you can be up in the car for 2 hours. So it's a lot.
Have you wrecked any cars?
Not totally wrecked and not like super scary, but there's been incidents where I've gone off.
I think your dad was saying that wrecking cars is partly of how a part of how you advance. Like you got to get to the edge of your fear, which sometimes includes wrecking a car, and then that's what propels you to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, on Friday, it's just an open practice day. So, you're just doing laps and laps, trying to learn the track as fast as you can. And you don't want to exactly wreck a car, but you want to find that limit, kind of, how fast can I take this corner and where is that limit? So, during practice, if you're watching on TV, you'll see a lot of cars locking up or sometimes spinning or sometimes going off in the runoff. And so, yeah, each driver that day is just trying to find exactly where that limit is and how fast they can take a corner, so we're completely prepared for the race.
It's a lot of metaphors for living. Heather, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm sure it's an incredibly expensive sport, and that you need sponsorships, or you're gathering them, or you have been gathering them. Have you found Spokane businesses to be supportive of sponsoring you?
Yeah, how's the process? Thank you. How's the process of getting sponsors, and has Spokane been supportive?
Yeah, I mean, Spokane's been so supportive of my story and helping me out. That's why I love Spokane. Where even though it's becoming a bigger city, it's still such a small world. I feel like everyone knows everyone. So Spokane's been super supportive, but it is hard because the more you go up, the more expensive it gets. And Spokane is not exactly known to be, in the racing industry. Like if you're a race car driver, you'd probably want to be more based in California or Indianapolis, where you could probably find a lot more sponsorship. So it does make it harder, a little bit harder where I live. But like I said, Spokane's a great community, so they've really helped me and my family out a lot, even when I was going for cancer and now with my racing journey.
Do you need more sponsors? And if so, like, how many are you looking for?
So for example, yeah, I definitely need more sponsors. You always need more sponsors because even when you're in the middle of a season right now, you're still thinking about raising money for next season because, like I said, the more you go up the ladder, the more expensive it gets. So you're always looking for sponsors. That never ends. And like this season, for example, cost us a whole total of 150 grand. The more we go up, it'll like in USF 2000, that's 500 grand, and then eventually Indy Lights is 1.2 million dollars to run the season. So it just, like I said, that's a lot of money. So you're always on the hunt for sponsors.
You'll find them. You're very supportable. One more question, Steven?
Yeah. Going back to like the brain cancer at 11 years old, like how did you grapple with like the potential mortality of that?
Let me restate that. So at the ripe age of 11, how did you deal with the potential mortality of having brain cancer? Right?
Um, so I grew up in a Christian family, and our faith is kind of everything to us. So having that faith and having, not just that faith, but my family, friends all around me, that support really got me through cancer. And then the crazy thing is, my mom had breast cancer before I had brain cancer. Actually, once she finished all her treatment, a month later, I got brain cancer. And so even though it sucked my mom having cancer, it was almost a miracle in a ways because I knew a little bit of what I was kind of getting into because she was able to explain what chemo was like, um, what like getting a port surgery was like, and stuff like that. So my mom was like my superhero at the time.
You're an inspiring young man.
Thank you.
If people want to find out more about your racing or the documentary, the movie, where do we send them?
So you can go to my website, which is www.48c-c.com, and then you can go to my Instagram, which is just Gabe Tesch 48C, and then my Facebook, Do Something Extraordinary.
And I know that everyone here is going to attend the premiere on April 13th at the First Interstate Center. And I know that everybody that's watching is going to share this video and say, now is the time to get your tickets to the premiere happening on April 13th at the First Interstate Center, right? Yeah. So, so share. Spokane is proud to have you, and we stand behind you. We want you to be successful.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks to our live studio audience. And did you have something you want to add?
Is there a book in the making?
Someone wants to know if there's a book in the making.
I mean, I've never read books really. That, to be honest, but definitely the future. If someone wants me to write a book, maybe I'll think more about it. But right now we have the movie, and that's already so much work. So yeah, definitely in the future I'll think about it.
All in good time.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Gabe.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job, you guys.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.